Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down the anatomy of one of the most beloved genres in all of gaming, the RPG. We'll be using the insights of veteran designer Ernest Adams to really get to the bottom of what makes a role-playing game, well, what makes it tick.
So, let's start with the big one, a question I'm sure you've asked yourself. So many games these days borrow RPG elements, right? You see skill trees and leveling up systems everywhere. So where do we draw the line? What's the actual DNA of an RPG?
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with a really clear definition and then trace the genre's roots all the way back to the tabletop. After that, we'll get super clear by comparing RPGs to war games, action games, and adventure games. And finally, we'll boil it all down to its core formula.
Okay, first things first. Before we can really compare RPGs to anything else, we have to pin down what they are. What are those essential ingredients that absolutely have to be there?
So here's the formal definition from Adams. Now, what's really interesting here is the emphasis. It's not about dragons or magic wands. The two absolute key ideas are quests and character growth. That's the bedrock we're building everything else on.
So what does that actually look like when you're playing? Well, it means you're facing challenges that go way beyond just fighting. Things like exploring the world or just managing your inventory. But the absolute heart of it, the most crucial part, is that growth. You see, in a pure RPG, you don't start out as a legend. You become one. That journey is the whole point.
To really get a handle on computer RPGs, or CRPGs, we have to take a step back. We need to go back to their roots. And I'm not talking about old computers. I'm talking about pencils, paper, and a whole lot of imagination.
Yeah, the entire genre as we know it today is basically a direct descendant of tabletop games like Dungeons & Dragons. In those games, you don't have a computer running the show. You have a person, the game master, or GM, who is the computer. They run the whole adventure, they describe the world, and they play every single character that isn't one of the heroes.
And this right here really shows the fundamental trade-off. A human GM is just infinitely flexible. If you can think it, you can try it. A computer, on the other hand, is totally rigid. It's bound by its programming. So what you gain in incredible graphics and automated rules, you lose in that pure, limitless freedom.
Okay, now that we've got that foundation set, let's dive into our first big comparison. RPGs versus war games. Now, they both involve fighting and strategy, for sure, but what they focus on is just worlds apart.
Really, it all boils down to scale and, well, identity. A war game is about managing huge groups of identical units. A fleet of spaceships, an army of soldiers. But an RPG, it's all about a small group of totally unique characters. You're not commanding faceless battalions. You're nurturing a handful of specific heroes and watching them grow. Of course, game designers love to mix things up, and lots of games live in that gray area. The Heroes of Might and Magic series is a perfect example of a hybrid. You have these individual heroes who level up and get stronger just like in an RPG, but you're also commanding big armies on a battlefield, just like in a war game.
All right, next up, this is a big point of confusion, and honestly, the line gets blurrier every single year. Let's talk about role-playing games versus pure action games.
The core difference, the real heart of it, is what determines if you win or lose. In a pure action game, it's all about your skill. How fast are your reflexes? How good is your timing? But in a pure RPG, it's about your character skills, those numbers, their stats. Your hero strength score is way more important than how fast you can hit a button. Plus, RPGs are full of non-action stuff, like deep conversations and economies, which you just don't see much in action games.
And right on this line is where you find some of the biggest games on the planet. I'm talking about games like the Elder Scrolls series. They demand both things from you. You need sharp reflexes for the real-time combat, but you also have to be smart about building your character and using those ever-growing stats and skills. It's the best of both worlds, really.
Okay, last comparison. Let's look at RPGs next to their story-focused cousins, adventure games. Now, both of these often have amazing stories and lots of exploration, but the way they handle the main character is fundamentally different. So the key difference is all about the protagonist. In an RPG, you're usually building your character from scratch. They're a blank slate for you to shape. In an adventure game, you're stepping into the shoes of a predefined character. Think Lara Croft or Nathan Drake, and you're playing through their story. This means in an RPG, growth is all about the numbers going up, more strength, more magic, but in an adventure game, the growth is often emotional or psychological, bakes right into the story.
And for this kind of hybrid, you just have to look at the legendary Final Fantasy series. It's a masterclass. It has all the deep, crunchy RPG mechanics, the leveling, the stats, the complex battles, but it tells its stories through these unforgettable, predefined characters who have their own rich backstories and motivations, a lot like in an adventure game.
So, we've spent a lot of time looking at what an RPG isn't. Let's flip that around and summarize what it is. What's that magic formula that really sets the genre apart from everything else?
When you lay it all out like this, the unique identity of the RPG just becomes crystal clear. It's not any one of these things, it's the specific combination. A small, unique party of heroes, progression that's all about those numeric stats, and a core gameplay loop built around quests and growth. That's it. That's the formula.
And that really brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. A truly great RPG isn't just one thing, it's the powerful blend of two things. You need that captivating story to give you a reason to be in this world, and you need that rewarding character growth to give you the motivation to keep going, to get stronger, and to see that story all the way to the end.
Which leaves us with one final big question to chew on. As more and more games keep borrowing these ideas of growth and quests, what's the future of the RPG going to look like? Are the lines going to blur so much that the term itself starts to lose its meaning? Or will that core formula, that magic combination, always find a way to shine through?